Good evening to all my classmates and Dr. Wasserberg. This week readings were very interesting. Everything was highly enjoyable, including the chapters of the book and the articles and videos that we were offered to watch. The first piece that I'm will be glad to speak about is the article by Julia Camarada and Augustine Romero, which is called A Critically Compassionate Intellectualism for Latina/Latino Students, Raising Voices Above the Silencing in Our Schools. If you excuse me, I will be peeking in my notes on the second monitor, so I will be looking to the side sometimes. First of all, I like the name of this article. It sounds very inspiring. The authors in the introduction describe how in the public school system Latino and Latina students experience low expectations from the teachers and administrators, which leads to lower level of their education that does not allow them not only develop financially in the future, however, but also it prevents them from developing the critical voices that would help them later to openly speak about the problems that exist and to work on their improvement. So the Latino population in the United States is rising. However, it is rising being silent. Their voices are not included in the general dialogue, which creates a big problem in the field of injustice. So the authors offer the trilogy, which they call Critically Compassionate Intellectualism, that consists of 3 parts: critical pedagogy, authentic caring, and social justice curriculum, that they further speak in the article. They bring up the researchers as Freire and Pollock. They speak about them and what they were working on. They speak about Freire's thoughts on banking education, when teachers think it is the most right thing when they put in the minds of the students whatever they know. And they also speak about Pollock's study of racial achievement, when teachers and administrators blame culture or parents for the low results of this group of students, that leads obviously to development of racist ideology in the schools. So further, the authors describe in the article how they held the social justice course in Sarah High School. They collected a lot of evidence how this course benefited students in multiple ways. They developed partnering with students in obtaining knowledge. They worked with them in in the field of critical consciousness and critical literacy. So they partnered with the students and they wrote the poems together. They exchanged their perceptions of the world around them. They held back and forth communication, so the students could develop the thoughts about their education and develop the idea of who should be responsible for their education and develop the feeling of ownership of their ability to obtain education. Also, the big part of the philosophy of the social justice course is compassionate relationships between students and teachers. The authors believe that students' response to sincere interest in their lives is much more effective, and they bring up a lot of examples of how students react to compassionate teachers who are interested in their lives. So they introduce us to the dialogue that students and teachers hold, and introduces the development of personal and trusting relationships between students and educators. I really like this article. It was very interesting for me to read. First of all, because it is so logically structured. You see the parts of the article, how the authors do the historical overview, and make the summary of theory and research in this field, and then they introduce us to the big experiment, very vivid experiment with a lot of bright examples. They bring up the student opinions and voices. They show us on the example how the voices are rising, how the students are developing the critical consciousness, which is always delightful to see. However, probably it depends on my experience with other classes. I read a lot of policy proposals and advice to policymakers of how to make things happen. So my question to the authors would be how to bring critically compassionate intellectualism to universal level. So we, after reading the article, we obviously agree that it would be a great way to work with Latina and Latino students. However, we know that white privilege doesn't exist accidentally, and it is a big question how to tell the people of white privilege that it is time to share and accept the voices of the people who live around them. And the second thing that I would like to speak briefly about is the videos that introduce us to the culturally responsive teaching. I enjoyed all of them. However, I would like to speak about the lessons that teachers do on the teaching tolerance videos, where we see the positive examples of teachers, of students of different ages, who provide us with the examples of effective teaching in the field of teaching diversity and tolerance. We see how students with different backgrounds, of different ages, students who live in different areas, communicate with each other. They are involved in the conversations and collaborations between each other in group thinking, and their areas of teaching are different. It is literacy and social studies. So I would think that after reading a lot of materials, articles, and Causal's book, there is a feeling that there is a lot of injustice in the school, in public school system, that sometimes it feels like it is impossible to fix this huge system and bring up the change. But when you see the positive examples of these teachers who do great things, and they show off their examples and show off that it is possible to work in the positive direction, and it works and it is accepted, then I personally have a lot of hope in what we do in the public school. And I have two questions to my peers. First of them is, did you ever feel prevented by the system, or by the lack of time, or lack of awareness, or the certain curriculum that you used in your classroom, from culturally responsive teaching? And whether you answer yes or no, please elaborate on that topic. And the second question, after doing all the readings and watching the videos and learning about the techniques of teaching tolerance, what can you change tomorrow in your teaching style in your classroom? I know not all of my classmates work in public schools, so for those who do not work there, I can change the question to, what can any teacher do to adopt the techniques of teaching tolerance in the classrooms? Thank you for your attention.